Hi everybody, happy Friday, and I hope you're having a great day. So I thought, often I post stories about, my treatments and survivorship, but since it's Friday, I thought I would post something a little lighter, and share just some experiences I had of stuff people said to me, all well-meaning, that I found particularly funny, and just things that I thought about that I found funny. So hopefully you enjoy, but sometimes we all need a little lightness on those dark days. Something that actually multiple people said to me after I was diagnosed was that I really should avoid sugar because it actually makes the cancer grow. Which, you can really Google anything now and cancer will appear. So there's that. But also, during kind of my worst bouts of nausea, I literally just wanted to eat Sour Patch Kids and Fireballs, actually. And actually, when I was eating a Fireball, this is a true story, I had close to an anaphylactic reaction to my Taxol, and I had the Fireball in my mouth, and I didn't want to spit it out because that's how good that Fireball tasted. So the point is, you need to just do what you need to do to get through chemo. And again, people are well-meaning, but telling you to, juice, and like the last thing I felt like doing when I was feeling like shit was breaking out the juicer and making some celery juice. So whatever works for you, I say do it, because it is one of the hardest things that you will go through. A lot of kind of things with cancer are cost. I was really fortunate about, having great insurance. That doesn't mean I still didn't get bills. It doesn't mean I still didn't have to fight with insurance companies. It doesn't mean that, things weren't covered, even with really great insurance. But there's so many people out there that don't have that. And so something that I really was thinking about was, how come there isn't a Groupon for cancer? Like, can we get some discounts? Actually, I don't even know if Groupon still exists, but in thinking about this, it's like, there's just got to be more out there. There are some great resources, but there's not enough. And so I think, the more out there, the better. Certainly, if people have questions, feel free to DM me, and I'm happy to provide any of the resources that I found helpful and utilized, because there is a lot out there, but it's simply just not enough. Something else that people said to me a lot, and again, well-meaning, is that, I'm so sorry, for everything you're going through. Laughter is the best medicine. And for me, not so much when I was going through active treatment, but I am on Verzenio, which the number one side effect is diarrhea. So one day somebody said, laughter is the best medicine. And I said, except when you have diarrhea. And they just kind of stared at me. So it made me laugh, but I think it didn't quite register. So I think, you've got to find ways, as you're going through this, to just, not that laughter is the best medicine, but just for me, and kind of how I deal with life, is like finding the humor. And I think people are unintentionally like well-meaning, and I tried to just find humor in the ones that I knew were well-meaning, but that were completely off base with what they were suggesting. Another thing that people talked about, when I was going through treatment, was like, oh well, like, how do you keep up the intimacy? And in fact, I remember talking to a friend, and it was like, she was going through something different, but she's like, do I like need to have sex? I'm like, that should be the last thing that we are thinking about as I'm nearly choking on a fireball, having a Taxol reaction. I'm not like, okay, I need to get some lubricant and, make sure that I'm sticking to our sex schedule. So, like, all of those things are factors and things that we think about. And so I think from like a partner standpoint, the more that you can reassure your partner, and also I think like, how do we define intimacy? And that's something that I really thought about when I was going through chemo and still in survivorship, because things don't just get better after you're done with active treatment. I still am in menopause. I still don't have ovaries. And so that all factors into things. And so I think, I think redefining how you think about intimacy, redefining like, okay, so traditional sex, like that doesn't necessarily equate to intimacy. In fact, like when I was going through treatment, I felt the closest to my partner at times that I've ever felt before. And we weren't having sex. We found intimacy in other ways. So, I think all of those things like are legitimate, but should not be at top of mind. And I think if anything, just being able to talk about those things, laugh about those things, and finding new ways and definitions for things that, you previously thought differently about. So these are just a few of my thoughts for today. I hope they make you smile. And, when you're going through cancer, like, it doesn't give you the right to have Tourette's, but, I think it gives you the right to be more blunt and vocal and really ask for what you want and need. So, don't worry about saying or asking for the wrong thing. Do what you feel in your gut, and ask for what you need and ask for help. And also give your family and friends a little grace, because we all try our best, but we don't always say the best thing or the right thing. But know that it comes from love, and those annoying comments that will make it easier to digest. So have a great Friday. Happy survivorship. And I hope that you're all doing well. Talk soon.